shaky Oculus interface into Elite Frontier. Sorry, Elite Dangerous. What am I talking about? And when we last left our story, there was no gaming yesterday, but we're still in the money-making side of things, apparently. That is, if I can actually get there. I'm spending a lot of time wandering around looking for profits and not actually making any money. Ow! God damn it. So let's just find out if this is in fact the most lucrative site in the game right now. Probably not. The game just loves to change this over and over again. Oh. Well, it looks like we're going to be going to Duamta. The system we're currently in does not have... Or, where are we? Brooks Terminal in the Turir system. Yeah, oh god. I've got such problems with this frickin' connector and sensors at the same time on the Oculus. So 2 subsystems have failed, or are failing. At any rate, at the moment, game performance is not a concern, since we started using GeForce NVIDIA optimization. Let's have a look at our map and see what the state of the galaxy is. Still many star bases under return. I don't really know what that rumbling noise is. And we are in the Turir system. And there were profits here 2 days ago when I last logged in, but not now. Ah, yes, Lalonde 18115. Soul must be around here somewhere. There it is. Of course, Ross 154 is home to the gas giant Aster. And the homeworld Merlin. There were dome cities before. Apparently now they've gone over to full terraforming and is now a human breathable atmosphere. Ah, yes, the dust ball. A small gas giant planet. Looks like it's planet 6. 7. 7 planets. Oh. Something went haywire there. No, no, no. Okay, so let's go back here to
Time you log on.
well, I did try calling you. You weren't responding. Oh, I can actually get a fuel scoop here. Good. I'm still in the Tourer system.
Doing what?
Making money. Trying to make money. I upgraded my Anaconda over the first 2 days. I was sick yesterday. I don't know what the hell, like every once in a while I just get like this illness, but it's getting shorter. It was down to like less than 24 hours. Something I'm eating or doing or... What's that?
Requesting doc.
Oh. So I'm experiencing rapid onset illness complemented by rapid onset cure as my body adapts to whatever is being thrown at it, but I don't know where the contaminating agent is coming from. Anyway, I slept through most of yesterday.
I went fishing for the last 2 days. I now have a freezer full of fish.
Good for you.
Could have gone today, but decided, nah. Yesterday, supposedly, it got up to 107 degrees. My wife was saying a little bit hot to be outside in the sun. We're sitting in the shade and we got sunburned.
Well, that happens to me naturally anyway. And what actually happens indoors in well-lit rooms.
Are you a vampire?
Well, I've got red hair and I'm very pale skinned, so even when I've been running triathlons, I have to put on sunblock 5000 in order to avoid being caught in heat stroke halfway through the race.
Yeah, I know a few people that are redheads and they are miserable outside a lot of times.
So I spend a lot of time indoors, but I do like the outdoors. I just like it at night. I'm very nocturnal. When the sun goes down is usually when I...
So I picked up a bunch of people that want to go to Colonia for like 5 million or 2 million credits or something, just to see how that goes, if I get any alternative offers or...
Oh, okay. Well, that's what they say happens.
Yeah, I've got a slavery offer, but I got to go to Ogmar, which is like near Colonia anyway.
Okay. Let's outfit our freighter.
Not accept that one.
No. For internals, no. I want the back. I want the optionals. Optional internals. The 6E cargo rack. We can store here. Store. Browse the shop. Fuel the scoop. And we will take insufficient credits for a 6A fuel scoop. Holy shit. 6A fuel scoop is 28 million credits.
Yeah.
I think we'll just go with the 3A fuel scoop. I only need it to make use of the corridors. The white dwarf things. They're not that useful, but... Oh, the 6C fuel scoop is actually available for 1 million. Here, we'll take that one. Okay, good enough. Iron Jaguar thinks I'm nuts to be using white dwarf stars.
Why?
Well, because it takes a certain amount of time to use them. You have to go in the system, and there's always the risk of death if you get caught up in the death cone and hit the exclusion area of the white dwarf itself. Which in some cases is relatively easy, since the particle spout from the star is sometimes so short beyond the exclusion zone that you don't have a lot of space to glean extra particles from for your FSD. Who the hell is this? No, that's not it. Commander H3RR Pi. Why would he name himself after an STD?
Make you wonder what the fuck's wrong with them?
Okay. I'm gonna be Commander Chlamydia. Because I want to be different. That sounds like a good pirate name. Okay, here we go. Jumping to our new trade destination. I still think there's too many star systems in this game which don't allocate names to their planets. Like, once a human colony sprouts up and has 50 or so million people living on the planet, you'd think they'd start naming their planets. Something other than, you know, Leyton 27276A1, or whatever the hell they choose to name it. Jumping to call sector 285, sector SV-N A36-01. Ah! Jumping to Gamma Pavonis, 23.2 light years. So Memorial Day is on the United States.
Yeah.
Does that mean everything's closed?
Not everything. You got gas stations and Walmarts. Places that normally stay open no matter what are open, but banks and a lot of businesses are closed.
Okay.
I mean, I got the day off.
Yeah.
I have to make up an hour on Friday just because of it. They'll pay for 8 hours of vacation time. I mean, we work 9-hour days.
You work 9-hour shifts?
Yeah.
Holy shit. The most you can lawfully have in on province of Ontario without overtime pay is 8 hours. We don't have 9-hour shifts here, ever. Otherwise you'd have to pay out.
I work 9 hours Monday through Thursday, then I only work a 4-hour shift on Friday and get basically work half a day. I come out at 40 hours. Anything over 40 hours is time and a half, period.
Oh, okay.
They figure the overtime at 40 hours plus.
Yeah, you have the weekly amounts for some jobs, and some jobs you can't go over. Like I remember in Manitoba, which has even stricter labor laws, I couldn't necessarily get. Oh shit, this is only 19.2 light years. I'm not going to worry about this dwarf. I just had to avoid the cone of death here. I don't need the cone of death right now. Manitoba, you have... I remember working over 8 hours once when I had to pull a 20-hour shift in security back when I was younger, and the rules were and are, I doubt they've changed any, that if you have someone on shift for 8 consecutive hours or more in the same day, you have to pay them time and a half. After 10 hours it goes to double time. So I had a nice fat paycheck at the end of that 2 weeks.
Yeah, there are some places around here that will figure after so many hours per day they'll pay overtime, but that's all voluntary with that employer. But usually they're large employers that kind of like Walmart or something like that, where the business crosses state lines. They usually lay down rules for abiding by the most strictest state labor laws, and they just apply that to everyone, so they don't have to sit and try and figure out
right
which one is they can get less on. They just figure any one that has an apple.
Yeah.
By the time the HR goes into figuring out payroll as it is.
So Walmart must be thought of as a desirable employer in South Dakota, I would think.
Well, not really.
Not really?
I'm just saying that Walmart is a big national corporation.
Yeah, Walmart is, but of course...
I don't think they really... They abide by the 40 hours per week overtime model.
Yeah, but there should be a limit. I mean, I don't know about the United States, but there, I think, should be a limit. I mean, human beings are not designed to stay at work for 20 hours straight, unless there's an emergency, as there was a security emergency in the downtown mall at Winnipeg.
The only trade I know of that regulates how many hours per day you can work is for semi-drivers. They are stuck at 8 hours. Anything over, and they get fined for it. The trucking industry has been up in arms for the last couple of years over that one.
Yeah, but I think it should be applied globally, just to every position. You shouldn't be... I mean, like I said, you shouldn't be required as a human being to just sit there and be on shift forever because your employer wants you to be there.
No. That's why a lot of places have unions to prevent shit like that.
Yeah, if you're unionized, it's completely different.
Most employers have gotten to the point that they've realized that overworking a person is actually counterproductive. I mean, it's to the point you don't need unions and everyone else tell employers that they got to play nice. Employers start to figure out on their own, hey, if we treat our employees good, they'll be
more productive.
Be more positive, more productive, and in the long run, employee retention rates will go up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, most employers start figuring that out on their own.
Well, that's what I thought the big selling feature was at Walmart, was that you could, like, rise up the ladder gradually there and get management experience, and, like, you know, they have sort of a structure that allows their employees to move around a bit.
Yeah, they do. My wife's been in a couple different positions since she's been at Walmart. She's a toy department manager now.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
it's upwardly mobile, but there's obviously limits on it.
If you want to work your way up, you can.
Yeah. Well, as I said, there's going to be limits on it, but it's still something at least.
Well.
And in small town America, I mean, you got to understand the trend is towards cities still at the moment. Urbanization is still a huge force in our society. I don't know if your city is big enough to be the one gaining population or losing it, but if you're too small, you're losing population these days.
This town's kind of staying
stable.
Pretty average. Yeah. There's 2 colleges in town here, so I mean, there's.
Well, there'll always be some employer.
The workforce could be better than what it is.
How do you mean?
Well, this town is notoriously bad about attracting new businesses. And the ones that they do attract, they tend to try and tell them what they can and cannot pay for wages and everything else, because a lot of the people in charge of the city have their own businesses and don't want competition. So it's just stupid.
No, I see. So the Chamber of Commerce's attitude is, you know, you kind of have to buy into the town, not have the town buy into you.
So we got a soybean processing plant getting built out of town. We got a beef plant that's been put up and built the last few years. There's a large fiberglass plant in town now that they build the large windmill blades.
Oh yeah.
So they get shipped out of town. They ship about three of them a day out of town, I believe. We got 3M. We got a 3M plant here in town. The plant that I work, I don't work for 3M, but then there's my employer, and there's a few other larger manufacturing facilities in town. But the manufacturing in this town is pretty lean. It's more of a college/retirement community than anything else. Then they wonder why the younger generation graduate high school moves the fuck away. Keep them here. No job market.
No, that's the story of my small town in north of Winnipeg. It was exactly the same thing. You know, it's prairie central, so you've got flat horizon in every direction. There's little tourist. I mean, it's not that it isn't a beautiful province. It is. There is wildlife to be experienced and whatnot, but it's
not marketed for tourism.
It's just not marketed as, you know, unless you're interested in the prairies, you're not going to get a sense of the prairie. Manitoba's great for establishing a sense of the prairies, but it's not going to, like, wow you with its impressive mountainscape or anything like that, because there's no mountains in Manitoba, obviously. Hang on a second here. Shut that off. We'll just do this. Request dock from facility. And we're at Polyakov Station in the Duam-Ta system. We're very close to Sol right now, closer than I've been in a long time. There was talk of the Thargoids putting in an appearance here. So this particular space station suits me for trade right now because although it's not the most lucrative, it's lucrative enough to be making about 3 million credits a run, I figure. Oh, did you see the Star Wars movie yet?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, it was okay. But holy shit, the online controversy apparently, and this is what I'm talking about, the right in the US sometimes goes completely overboard. There's a number of commentators claiming that the president of Disney, who happens to be female, and has taken a personal role in the management of the Star Wars story in general at Disney, is working with George Lucas, but despite this, she is being accused of hating men because of a comment. An article in the New York Times quotes her as saying that, well, I'm not catering to any particular demographic. I'm not catering to... there was many years when Disney catered to white males as their primary demographic. What she was really trying to say there, and she didn't really put it in language that was suitable for the New York Times, was that she wasn't anti-male. She was saying, I think what we're doing here is trying to get a demographic that appeals, get a story that appeals to everyone. But the New York Times article is being used as evidence against her to say that she's anti-male. I don't know.
That sounds pretty typical. Gotta quit twist and bend everybody's comments and words to make everybody out to be evil.
Well, and they use the square parentheses. You got to watch the square parentheses when they use it. They're used in newspapers to denote paraphrasing or summary. And a lengthy part of what she was saying could have been easily edited out of the quotation. So the quote could be taken completely out of context.
Yep.
So I understand the New York Times is reporting accurately, yes, but the average person's going to read what's in the square parentheses and think that, yes, this means that she's being anti-men. Yeah.
Disney's got enough clout and money that they can...
They'll weather the storm, I think, but there's people calling for her...
If anything else, Disney will intentionally go after the New York Times for slander or something like that. If they really want to.
I don't think they'd have a case. The quote is...
You don't have to necessarily take them into the court of law. All you need is public opinion.
That's true. Disney's an expert in that area.
Disney's been around for how fucking long?
Yeah.
So yeah, you're not gonna go and write a bunch of trash about them and get away with it in the long run.
No, I don't think so. Like I said, it's a very niche sort of critique of Disney, but it was very, very. It was a backlash related to the release of the Solo film. Nothing directly to do with the plot of the Solo film. The Solo film, I thought, was adequate. It wasn't the greatest Star Wars I've ever seen, but you know, there were some action-packed moments. There were some special effects. There was a love story. You know, a couple of love stories actually. So it's...
You figure Disney's going to milk the whole Star Wars into oblivion.
Yeah, there is overexposure is starting to set in. There was already talk about that, so...
I'm to the point I don't have a desire to see Star Wars after Disney got a hold of it, just because why? Disney's limited on what they can and will do, because they won't do rated R shit. I mean, a lot of that they avoid. So, I mean,
yeah.
Well, I don't like watching kid-friendly TV shows, movies to start with.
But would Lucas be treating it that much differently if he were doing it himself as part of Lucasfilm? I mean, the raciest it got was
Disney's family-friendly definition is different than other places.
True. Who's the family again? I think Disney will do gay artwork. I don't know if they have yet, but I think they would at this point. It's generally accepted.
Well, you get a lot of Bible thumpers and groups like that still.
Yeah, I never understood why the Bible thump. I mean, Christ at no point says, you know. I mean, yeah, there's Leviticus that says something about man lying with man, but that's the Old Testament, number one. And number two, it doesn't really...
It's not approved. There's many places in the Bible where it's not approved.
Yeah, but it's clerics who don't know... I mean, these people were generally single for their whole lives anyway, especially after the medieval period. It turned completely into celibacy, endorsed celibacy as a means of protecting their relationship with God. Did mean they stopped having sex, of course, but it did mean that they didn't marry for a long time. Nowadays, they weren't supposed to be, no. But many did anyway, as Chaucer pointed out in the 12th century. In Canterbury Tales, you have a bunch of rather rhetorical jokes poised about, in Middle English, poised about the behavior of priests. In fact, that's really the whole point of the Canterbury Tales, I think, is to show the discrepancies between reality and state religion. But I don't know, they get to be celibate after a certain point, and for some reason this becomes the emphasis, but I don't really understand it, except to say that society generally may have actually influenced the clergy into thinking that gay intimacy was something that ought to be avoided, because it wasn't accepted in European society generally. It was looked down upon. Only the Romans and the ancient Greeks, as two relevant examples in the Mediterranean, had any tolerance for gay relationships. The Romans didn't give a damn one way or the other who you slept with, and the Greeks, I think there was maybe a little bit more structure to it than might have normally otherwise been. It's hard to say from what little we know about the intimate practices of ancient anybody, but it seems certain that the Romans didn't give a damn. But the rest of Europe was a different story. And despite the Romans' attitude about it and their conquest of Europe, the acceptance, the tolerance never took, and it spread to North America, of course, with the religious factions of Europe that didn't receive tolerance in Europe, emigrating to the United States in the early days, ending up getting, like the Quakers and whatnot, ending up forming the narrative, and it took, 200 and some odd years for that narrative to be eroded back to where tolerance and equality and liberty were established for gay people. Most irritating of all is how, what's a fellow's name now? Turing. Alan Turing, who came up with computer technology in the 1940s of all times. He was gay, and he ended up undergoing chemical castration, quote unquote, as an option once his homosexuality had been discovered. It's relatively a recent thing that tolerance and equality and the rest and all those other wonderful things have been extended to homosexuals, as you're well aware.
Yeah. I live in the middle of part of the country that's still highly prejudiced and...
Well, it'll probably be one of the last regions to gain acceptance, but it will come. It just takes longer.
Well, there's plenty of gay and bisexuals around here, but they're not overly vocal about it. They're not drawing themselves into the limelight.
No, but it's part of your life too. But if you're heterosexual, I mean, when do you run around telling everyone you're heterosexual? Or is it just sort of assumed that everyone else is going to assume you're heterosexual until otherwise stated?
It's pretty much assumed.
Because there are people who, I mean, my gaydar may be inaccurate, but there have been a few times where it's been dead on. And it would not have been assumed that they were straight. But it didn't bother me one way or the other.
I just look at it this way, I just don't fucking care.
Yeah.
I'm not bothered to worry about their sexual orientation because as long as they're not trying to have sex with me, I don't care what they're doing. But yeah, my wife and I, we know quite a few people that are a lot of gays and lesbians. Or if we're actually getting along with them, we're friends with them just fine. Don't have a problem with it, so...
Well, then you're probably on the cutting edge.
No, I'm still young enough in the whole generation brackets that we've given ourselves in this country that I tend to be a little more tolerant. I'm not a Gen X or a baby boomer where I got trying to relive my past glories.
Well, be ready for it if it comes, because I have a few past glories I'd like to relive at some point. Won't be doing it all the time anymore, I get that, but...
I don't know, in my past I got in enough trouble being stupid, I don't really have the desire to go back and repeat it.
Even if it were legal?
Well, well, even then, it's not the same. You don't get the adrenaline high if it's legal, because then it's kind of pointless, so. Then a lot of the other stupid stuff I did is just basically running around partying, and it's like, it's not much fun anymore now that I can legally drink. It's just, whatever.
I think partying still happens. It just takes on a different tenor. Okay, so we need Class 6E cargo rack for $362,000. All right.
Pinky Nicholson, is this really necessary? Why, yes, Pinky, it is necessary.
Pinky? Okay, so we're carrying tantalum to Chi Orianus.
Sounds like a Oriental seafood seasoning.
Chi Orient. Well, Chi is actually a Greek letter. Chi Sizai, or Chi CZ, or however it's pronounced. My ancient Greek isn't very good, and my modern Greek is even worse.
I never bothered to learn it. Yeah, don't need it. Has no bearing on my.
No, but academics, like, there's not enough letters just in our alphabet, so they have to use some other alphabet. They use the Greek alphabet quite often. It's a favorite. It's tradition.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily make it a good tradition, though.
Well, it could be Russian or something.
No, that's fine.
Actually, Russian is based on the Greek alphabet anyway.
Well, I'll tell you a secret. I don't know how to read or speak Russian, so it don't matter. You can use Russian if you want. It's just like using Greek.
It's all Greek to you.
Yep.
Well, two of the jobs I applied for today are both in French up to a certain level, and I don't know if I matched a certain level, but I applied for them anyway. One of them is...
French, huh?
What's that?
So you'll have to go to work and speak French all day long.
No, normally with these positions, they say that they want French. Like some government departments here in Ottawa, they do speak a lot of French, because most of the government employees in certain areas tend to be francophone. It's just statistically probable that's going to happen. I don't think it's got anything to do with bias necessarily, although bias does happen in some select cases. But I can think of one case where I worked for a francophone company and I was let go rather early because I wasn't francophone, is the only conclusion I could draw. We had a client who liked firing the technical architect over bullshit reasons, and I brought my bike into the office at one point, and the client didn't like that. It was raining outside, and it was an expensive bike, so I just parked it like next to my cubicle. And he said he had told me once before not to do that, but I wasn't simply prepared to get to work and have my bike stolen just so I could work there. So he gets all pissed off, accuses me of being insubordinate to my employer, doesn't confront me at all, and he ends up letting me go. And the consulting company, when another technical architect, at least one, possibly two, had been let go from the same project, both of whom were francophone, French speaking. The approach was to simply put them onto another project, but in my case they decided not to. I was only one of two English speaking employees in the company where English was my first language. The remaining 198 employees had French as their first spoken language. So
that's an incredibly stupid reason to let anyone go, as long as French would be their second language. What the fuck does it matter?
Well, the other thing was, I mean, they couldn't give me a justifiable reason. Like, they just said, you're being let go for this reason. And I was just like, well, that doesn't make any sense. How did Yannick was the fellow who got fired ahead of me. How did he get assigned a new project and you're just deciding to let me go? Well, he didn't piss off the client as much. Bullshit, he didn't piss off the client as much. The client was extremely pissed off with him, far more so than me just be doing some annoying little thing with my bike, or at least he should have been. So it didn't make any sense at all. Of course, the client changed himself, right? Because the guy who let me go, within 2 months of letting me go, he'd let too many technical architects go from his project. So they decided to can his ass, actually. And I ran into him over an environment where he'd found a new job about 8 months later. Frickin' middle managers, man. They're just like... They're a breed unto themselves. I don't know what they're qualified for, or how you get to qualify as in some of these rules that they put in there, but... I mean, my architecture was the one I was in the middle of implementing when I was actually done implementing that phase, so it was a good time. It was a good time for a bit of turnover if you were going to have it, but...
That sounds like to be more of the reason why they let you go. You got
maybe.
The needed done.
But it was still my architecture. In the next phase, I could have still taken it further, you know, and done a lot more with it. But they ended up, I think they likely, if they're smart at least, they would have gone up with a CRM solution. I was using Microsoft.NET Workflow Foundation, which is kind of, it's still very technical at a very low level. CRM would allow them to make changes without necessarily involving technical resources all the time. But I did feel proud about what was achieved there. I mean, that year we did $10 million in just in that office between 4 or 5 people. We did $10 million worth of successfully processed family orders enforcements. So this is like deadbeat dads who don't pay alimony or don't pay support for their children and stuff like that. And there's a court system federally in Canada that looks after that. So we have to track the money. That's what we were doing basically. So my system basically gathered up all the figures, stored it in the database, tracked all the money, made sure it was kept in the right place so that not one thin dime got lost. The previous system, they lost $3 million before I got there, and they had to find it using SQL queries and cursor procedures, and I could not believe that they actually recovered records totaling $3 million that wasn't processed properly. Unbelievable. So I improved the system, and like I said, I did $10 million worth of processed orders. So I was very proud of the achievement. Put it on my resume and everything. Granted, I didn't make the $10 million, but still, it's kind of important to make sure it gets processed correctly, especially if you work for the government. But like I said, there are better systems options for them now than there were back then. Strangely though, I didn't think workflow was going to disappear, but it kind of has, except in the SharePoint space. And there, you still have Workflow Foundation in the .NET programming space, but I'm not sure I'd go for that anymore over CRM.
I'll be right back. I gotta go use the restroom.
Go ahead. I'm further away now. Yes. Confirm. Sell that. Shipyard. Outfitting. No. I want commodities. And I want tantalum, I believe. Tantalum, Chai Orianus. Oops, fuck off.
Maximum capacity.
Oh, you little worm. God damn it.
I'm back.
Okay. My headset needs more tape. I'll continue taping my Oculus Rift back together again. So now it seems to be a combination of the cord and the sensor in the foam. So either the foam is interfering with the wiring somehow, or maybe I need both the cord and the foam.
Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't tell you unless I actually looked at it.
It'd be tough for me to give you a virtual display of it in 3 dimensions without you having VR yourself, in which case you'd probably be experiencing the same problem.
Probably not. I'd have fixed it a while ago.
I'm pretty sure I can...
I've always been pretty good about if my shit's not working right, I fix it, because it just irritates me to the point I hurry up and fix it.
Yeah, well, I get irritated. Some days this thing works fine. Like, there are days this weekend I've had where, you know, there hasn't been any kind of anomaly whatsoever, but... And there's other days, for some reason, maybe it's the humidity or something, it just starts, like, freaking out and going offline. It's also a little different in Elite than it is with other pieces of software for some other reason that isn't entirely clear. So we need Chai Orianus. Oh, come on. Come on! Holy smokers. Hey everyone, we are having issues, technical issues aplenty today, and I don't know why. But Elite is not working properly, my headset's not working properly, everything seems to be breaking and crashing. We just experienced a crash, so we have to log back in again, and we'll continue our interface with the Squaddle.
You must have had technical difficulties?
Oh, I don't know what the hell happened. The thing just crashed all of a sudden. Like Elite crashed itself as soon as I went to the Galaxy map. I don't know why.
I've had that happen a time or two. It sucks, but what do you do?
Complain to Frontier like your program is throwing exceptions still. There we are, our target system, which I've never been to before, but which has a space station. There's only one it could be. Carry terminal. Double check.
I don't understand why this game is letting me take on missions to haul people to a station that I can't dock at. Why does it even let me accept the mission? Because you can't change ships. It won't let me change ships while I have passengers on board.
Well, it will. It's you can change ships in case of where you have another ship with accommodations for your passengers.
Yeah, I have another ship that had accommodations, but it wouldn't let me change.
Were there enough of them, and were the cabins all the right size for all the right positions and all the right numbers of people?
It should have been. Should have had 18 places on that other ship and only 13 passengers.
I don't know. Once they've done a release, they put a lot of time into their releases, but once they do a release, it doesn't seem that they're doing a lot of QA afterwards. Like, once the release has happened, I mean, there's bugs in this game that have gone on for months, and they don't ever get resolved. And I don't understand how you run software like that. Like, you should still have someone in QA returning bugs to developers. Have they hired QA? I don't even know, but they need QA.
Landing gear. Well, they probably know about the bugs, and then they figure that there's the next update, they'll fix all the bugs in the next update.
Well, they do miniature releases. I mean, yeah, I do understand if you have too many releases, it gets very annoying for your players, but you should give the player the option at least to update to the latest version or the latest build of the game where the bugs might be fixed.
Depending on how you... I don't know, my game automatically updates itself.
It does?
I play it through Steam, and I've got Steam set to automatically update my games when I'm not actively playing any games.
Yeah, but in this case, there's the Elite launcher, which is what I'm using. Eventually, they came out with an Oculus Rift launcher, so I could use the Rift console application to the sort of home theater that you start your Rift in. I could use that to launch the game, but I'd have to, like, there's nowhere to enter in that tool. There's nowhere to enter a product key if you already have the game. So the only way to get it into your Oculus Rift is to buy the game over again. So the next time I have to buy Elite, I'm probably going to do it from the Oculus Rift interface. But the last time I did that was a couple of years ago now, and I didn't have the Oculus Rift at that point.
You should be able to find your product keys.
What's that?
You should be able to find your existing product keys.
Oh, I know it's right on the Elite store. It tells you right there what your product key is. But
you should be able to just enter those into your Oculus
Rift. Yes, you should, but it doesn't let you. I don't know why. It's stupid. They should update the launch applet from inside. That must be it. I think it has something to do with how Oculus tracks in-store purchases in the Oculus store, which is where you go for most of your VR wear. I mean, yes, you can use Steam, but you can also use the Oculus Rift applet. And by default, that's what I started to use. I guess I could use my Stream account. I don't use it for much. Where the hell are we? This is Chi Orianus.
Three-quarter impulse.
Oh, this is LP658-2. It's a white dwarf. Again, we do not have to use the death cone.
Not all white dwarfs have the death cone, though, do they?
Yeah, they all have a death cone. It's just whether or not it extends beyond the exclusion area. You need to have the death cone or you cannot use it to supercharge your FSD. Oh, I'm carrying my tantalum along. Would you like some tantalum?
Request dock. I don't know.
If you like fires, you can set it on fire. Maybe. Find out how hot you have to make your fire to set the tantalum on fire.
Buddy just sent me a picture of a fish he caught. Might as well crappie.
How big is this fish?
Well, it's a panfish, so they don't get very big. Might be 10 inches long.
Well, just be careful.
You need about 3-4 of them to make a decent enough meal. If they're biting and catching the shit out of them, then it's well worth keeping them.
Yeah. Anytime I ever caught a fish, my grandfather made me just let it go. But I never liked fishing. A little too boring. You can hear the birds singing and the quiet rumbling of the lake.
You are now in Federation space. Follow all regulations before and after landing.
Are you still there? Nope, we lost him.
Assisted docking initiated.
Let's just see what happened here. He is gone. Oh! The docking computer crashed us into the base again.
500 meters from touchdown.
500 meters. Pads 23, 14, 15, 9 are active, as is port 30. Is it 30 or 08? I don't even know.
Have you checked your bay number? Check again. Unauthorized landing may trigger a lethal response.
Oh, it's pad 32. Pad 32, 15, 9 are active. Which means someone... Oh, it's a Type 7. In pad 39. And in pad 32 we have the Dolphin, which leaves us with 15. But we don't care about all those other places. That's my airlock.
Unsanctioned acts of aggression will not be tolerated. Obey station law and enjoy your stay.
Alright then. Tantalum. And now,
blocking the docking bay access corridor is not permitted. This starport will not allow such intolerable behavior.
Crash is cost. Kill your speed, not your credit balance.
and now our next commodity will be resonating separators.
Do not block the access corridor.
Cargo hold at maximum capacity.
Okay, so
Starboard will not allow such intolerable behavior.
we now need the map.
This station operates a zero-tolerance policy towards criminal infractions. Obey station law. Have you checked your bay number? Check again. Unauthorized landing may trigger a lethal response. The access corridor is designated a no-stop zone. Blockages will be removed using lethal force.
Blocking the docking bay access corridor is not permitted. This starport will not allow such intolerable behavior. This station operates a zero-tolerance policy towards infractions. Obey station law.
Hello?
Docking clamps retracted. Regulate speed until clear of exclusion zone.
Hello?
Landing gear
Reports of
retrieved.
heavy traffic within the area. Maintain safe clearance distance.
Hello?
Hello?
So what happened this time? More crashing?
Yeah, I just froze up. Had to reboot my computer.
You ever try ending the process?
It freezes to the point that it will not minimize the game screen.
Oh, really?
I can't pull up Task Manager. It won't let me do anything, so I have to reboot.
Huh.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to continue to haul these 13 passengers around.
Give them the full tour of the galaxy first.
No, I just told them to get the fuck off my ship.
Or you can push them all out the airlock.
Commander, since you're not going to take us to where we want to go, please drop us off at the closest station. I'm at a station, get the fuck off already.
Yeah, I don't know if you should see that at a station. The last passengers I had to abort delivery of, I just basically said, get off my ship, and they got off, and there was none of this messaging about dropping us off at the next station. I was already at one.
Well, they still send the message to me, I think, just because they know it irritates me. Nobody cares about you and your trivial galactic troubles.
I know. Those of us with real galaxy-sized problems. Like the Thargoid invasion. Or the impact Guardians technology will have on our weapon systems. Or what strategy is involved, or where Raxla is, or any one of another 12 different things that you could possibly do in the Elite universe. There was more talk about features coming in the next release, but it looks like we won't get a new release of Elite until after June 18th.
Why is that?
I don't know, but they're pushing their deadline way back, I think.
They're probably having problems.
Well, I had thought we would see a new build of Elite in May, but it hasn't happened. And we're at the end of May now, so unless they have some intention of releasing it this week, I think we can forget about May for a new release of Elite, which means that they're pushing 2 releases into a single 6-month split. And while that is certainly possible, what we've seen so far from Frontier seems to indicate that there's a lot more going into these games than would meet the eye.
Well, at least they're adding content and trying to do something. Some games, once they've got your money, they don't give a damn. Basically, you're on your own.
Well, I don't know. When I write software, I try to support users afterwards, but that shouldn't be a huge surprise. I have a consulting background, so of course I try to support the clients always.
That's just good, that's just good manners in general, too.
It's good business, but also in consulting, it's a requirement. You have to keep your client happy nearly 100% of the time. You piss your client off too much, and you end up getting your contract. Actually, in the case of the Canadian federal government, you piss off your client even a little bit, you can have your contract pulled. Doesn't matter how qualified you are to do the job. The middle managers think that there's tons and tons of programmers they can draw upon, and they don't really value the skill that much. They don't treat it like a profession.
Do they comprehend that some people do things different, so that you terminate somebody halfway through the job, now you have to have somebody spend that much more time?
They are completely oblivious to it. They think they can just magically train them in the span of a day. And they bring them completely up to speed again right away. Yeah, they're living in a whole... I mean, a lot of consultants in the city here have said the same thing. Like, it's as if the middle managers are all living in some other world. It really is. But it's government, so it tends to be a little bit insular. They don't really... I don't know. They don't really have any... Their contact with the outside world and the concept of customer service is a little foreign to them. And they don't think of employees as anything more than resources that they have to manage. They don't think, gee, you know, if I replace resource A with resource B, I'm taking out their ideas or replacing them. You know, and then they're stupid enough, too, to think that one consulting company does a better job of recruiting people than another. And I have found very little evidence of it. I'm listed with 12 different consulting firms in this city and on their active list. Any one of them could close any number of opportunities at any time, and I could be working for one consulting firm at one point and another in the very next project. That happened last year. That happened last year 4 separate times.
Problem number one is you're working for the government.
It doesn't mean they have to be oblivious to, like, reality, in my opinion.
That's part of being a bureaucrat. You gotta be oblivious.
Seems that way, but they're oblivious to their own obliviousness. And why you would leave hiring decisions up completely to, in this environment, to a body that does not, like, there's 2 bodies, neither of whom is really competent to make hiring resources into a technical environment. It's just, like, first you have procurement, which is the agency in the government that procures products and or services for the government of Canada. Well, they get a grid of requirements for a position and they try to fill it. Often they don't succeed because the person they're looking for is either already there, in which case they just tailor the grid for that particular person, or the grid is too specific and they don't get any applicants who are compliant.
Private sector, you might make more money and deal with less bureaucratic bullshit.
Well, in general, that's what I've been doing, but it's a longer term project in this town right now, getting a position in the private sector. There isn't always a private sector job just on the waiting the way there is with the federal government. The federal government in Ottawa is the major employer. If I wanted to work in the private sector, I'd have to move to an even bigger city like Montreal or Toronto. I certainly don't want to live in Toronto. Montreal, I don't know, it's interesting, but I have a really nice apartment. I don't want to move at all. And there's no reason I shouldn't be able to find a good career here in the city of Ottawa, in my opinion. But I will keep looking for a permanent job. I've applied for several, I just haven't gotten interviews. No idea why. Maybe they don't like the 6-month or the 4-month gap in my resume at the moment. But it's nothing to do with client or working, because I just haven't even been in front of another client in way too long. This is a problem of being in business for yourself, is that if there's no customers, you're screwed. Fortunately, I have a second income, but it's not enough.
What is the second income? That's just doing the stuff with your website on the side?
No. Well, there's that as well, I guess, but it's not really enough to say it's a major source of cash. I mean, what I use for rent every month is disability income related to my illness, but that will end at some point. And I'm certainly not going to be a consultant going on and off welfare, so I do have to actually have a permanent full-time job. That's what I came to the city for. But finding them is getting harder and harder and harder. The only other alternative I have is to work online exclusively. And there you're competing with the world market. The world market, software prices are at a premium low. So I'll be paid way less than what I'll make inside the city here, where I'm actually physically at the site with the customer and able to deal with their needs in a face-to-face manner.
God, I keep getting all kinds of slavery offers. They want me to take them to a different station before I even leave the station I'm at.
How can it be that corrupt right next to Aisling Duval's like headquarters?
One of the slavery offers comes from the station next door to the station I just picked these people up from. Figure that one out. It's like, really? Oh, I'm getting interdicted.
Hang on a second here. What the hell fucking place is this? Polyakov. So why is Polyakov's station? No. Whatever. I'm gonna go by galactic average on this. It's fucking stupid. It doesn't. Their commodities interface in the commodities table doesn't work properly. So when you select the last column, if I go by market and try to say I would like to look at Polyakov's station. Oh wait, unless I'm in Duamta already. Yeah, I'm at Polyakov. So what was the other one? Chai Orianis, and it's Kerry Terminal, which also did not appear. So anyway, one of the starports doesn't appear in the list that they offer. So you can't find out what your profit margins are going to be going in. Resonating separators launch. I don't know how this works. Sometimes you get fined for colliding with people in the doorway, and other times you don't. I just collided with a Type 6, a keelback.
$185,000 credits felony.
185,000 credits?
Yep. Prefer to land.
What? Why? 185,000. Oh, 185,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
Frameshift drive charging.
Cargo scoop. Cargo scoop. Now to finish going to the station.
It's a Python, level dangerous. I think we'll try to evade. Oh, I don't know what this Python is weighed down with, but... Interdiction evaded. I don't like fighting Pythons and Type 9 freighters.
Request dock. Request dock. An ally like you is always welcome here.
An ally like you?
Yeah, an ally like me is always welcome here.
If you're not going to welcome your allies, you're not being very congenial. Of course, the United States does that to Canada all the time. Even if the people don't want it that way. So Trump is going to pour cold water all over NAFTA, is the latest news. It affects the northern U.S. states the most. Of course, who's the chief opponent of NAFTA? Republicans in the southern U.S. states that don't trade with Canada. And or trade with Mexico, but hard to tell with Trump what exactly is going to happen next. He says one thing one day and then suddenly
I think he's got, I think he's
Landing pad 2-4. Automated docking and thrust.
nothing more.
Well, it's just, he's become very unpredictable. I don't know if he's aware of this or not, but people don't like unpredictability when it comes to these decisions. Especially in the stock market. When she keeps trotting out as being some sort of achievement, personal achievement of his.
Contact. Deploying ground crew.
Feel they didn't make it better or worse. It's one way or the other, something will happen.
Yeah, but you may not know about it right away. It's the problem. But even Giuliani is saying now it's going to come down to impeachment, whether or not Trump stays or goes. There likely will be an impeachment vote in the next year or so.
Well, Clinton was impeached, but he still served out his time.
Yeah, but then there'll be a Senate trial, and I'm not sure Trump can win a Senate trial. Most of the opposition to Trump is in the Senate, so if he gets impeached, we're looking at a kind of Nixon situation where he'll be relieved of his position. It'll come down to the Senate trial. Did Nixon get to the Senate trial, or is it only Clinton?
Nixon resigned.
Before the Senate trial?
Yep.
Yeah. So this will only be, and that's why there were so few constitutional precedents to draw on for the Senate trial with Clinton. Everyone was looking at these ancient records going back to the 1700s to figure out how you conduct a Senate trial. Anyway, I think they muddled their way through somehow.
Seeking transport, 4.5 million. Going to a red trail.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to hold 23 terrorists for how long in my cargo hold? Until they decide they want to go somewhere productive?
Yeah.
No.
Well, I think you should form a Senate on your ship and hold a Senate trial to see whether or not this Colonia thing is going to work out.
I'm tired of taking up valuable cargo space.
True. Or you can just shove them all out the airlock and screw the Senate.
Refugees seeking transport. Why the fuck would you want to go 22,000 light years?
They're refugees probably from the Thargoids. The Thargoids are less involved in Colonia, in the Colonia region. Of course, they're still out there too, but they're less present. I'm personally fascinated that the Thargoids figured out where we sent our last ship, our big we struck out and made a colony in Colonia. How they came about this realization is still something of a mystery. They don't speak our language.
Oh, they might not be able to speak it. They could probably understand it, so they figured it out.
No, I don't know. Maybe. They certainly haven't made any effort to communicate with us. And even the Guardians, who figured out enough Thargoid to figure out how to communicate with them, didn't hear anything terribly helpful. It was like leave or die. It's going to be a while before we know very much about Thargoid motives. Could be a hive mind. Kind of like the Borg in Star Trek.
30 million to go take this person 18,000 light years there and back.
You don't want that one.
Well, I don't know if I had something that jumped long distances.
What the hell is going on here? I just got screwed on resonating separators. Okay, this is not working out. How did I get a loss? We're at Cary Terminal, which is the place you send resonating separators from Cary Terminal. Oh my god, I just wiped out a bunch of profit. Fucking idiot. This is why I don't like this rotating business with the economy. Nope. Phone's ringing. 1 second. It's a useless number. Yeah, okay. Oh my god! It's the dog again.
It might be possible if my wife is home. Just maybe.
Well,
Turn the door open and close.
that here, the victim of yet another home invasion.
Well, if I'm the victim of a home invasion, they got a problem. There's nothing in my home worth I'm stealing.
Christ almighty. Oh, piss off. This frickin' thing. Hurry the hell up. Yeah, there's a new VR game on the Oculus Rift site. It's getting promoted a lot lately, called Beat Saber. So they give you a bunch of music. Basically, it's techno, and little glowing dice that fly at you. You have to like smash them with these sabers according to the beats of the music.
Yeah, it all sounds very interesting.
It is like the most mindless game. I mean, the music is okay, but it's just the most mindless game you could possibly have ever come up with. You don't really... I mean, you achieve far less than you achieve in a game like Elite, when you look at the playability of Elite and the playability of a game like that. And there's like people with Twitch videos online doing little dances, like trying to promote their Beat Saber skills and dance around to the music. It's hilarious to watch, but anyway. At least I'm not running around dancing on the space station when I broadcast my video. Yeah, I had to point out to Iron Jaguar that there has been a couple times where there's been Elite errors. He couldn't understand why anyone would record an Elite session and broadcast it on an ongoing basis the way I do. And I said, well, it's come up a couple times when there's been game errors in progress, and I can just have them basically link to YouTube and go watch what happened for themselves. And within very short order, you can determine whether or not there's a bug, because you can see it misbehaving right in front of you. He still didn't quite get it, but I don't know. It doesn't really affect game performance at all. It doesn't do anything. The interface I'm using to broadcast is very simple and very quick. Oh, was I telling you about Obsidian Ant's voice being used in a space station at all?
Yeah, that's what you said.
So I was chatting with him the other day online, and he confirmed it was his voice. I need tantalum. There's this weird optical effect right now with the executive Roderick Burton of Doamta Gold Creative Corporation. I'm looking at his picture and it looks like it's two-dimensional instead of three-dimensional. Like someone drew it, like one of those medieval paintings. Oh, my anaconda arrived. I had to ship it across the galaxy again. So I'm at Polyakov Station. Just want to make sure. No, it's at Kerry Terminal in Chiorianis. Tantalum. Okay. Whoa! Almost crashed into a beluga liner that was coming through the doorway. A lot of beluga liners here, holy crap. How many decks does a beluga have? Like 5?
I don't know.
You don't have one?
A beluga? No.
Did you ever?
Nope.
Alright then. Well, that was weird.
Brian.
What's he doing? Where's they at?
They're out where we were yesterday on the
They're on the road.
Says, almost had a good sized carp, too big to get on land without net, and a large snapper.
Nice.
Target of opportunity approaching. Am entering a debris field where there's some goodies.
Got work during the night.
16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6.
Surely isn't any left.
Cargo suit deployed. Cargo suit retracted.
Okay.
Limpet drone error. Deploy cargo hatch. Limpet drone error. Deploy cargo hatch.
I thought I did deploy the cargo hatch.
Cargo suit deployed.
I'm just out in camera mode right now looking at all the limpets, and they're collecting all the crap in this debris field. It's kind of amazing to watch, really. They have the little component on the end of them, end of their interface or whatever. They're using magnetism to collect things. Pretty sure, anyway. You know, it is something, the amount of detail they put into these ships. Like every part has a purpose. I'm looking at the communications array right now. You still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Cargo scoop retracted.
Leaving debris field. Unable to comply. Retract weapons array.
Frameshift drive charging.
Engaging jump drive.
4, 3, 2,
Well, let's see here. Chairman of Metadrive Incorporated passes away. $20,000 kilometers away. 10,000. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. So I don't know if you've been paying attention to the website that I arranged for both of us.
Yeah, vaguely.
I put in another Visio diagram. This one covers the Alliance organization. So Edmund Mann is now in there as Prime Minister of the Alliance. And their government structure was completed, as well as who controls the Navy. And what you'll see there that's interesting is that they've got a recent assassination by that terrorist group that's going around killing people that were involved with Jameson's death. Well, their descendants. I've never heard of anything like this before, but anyway. It's a terrorist group devoted to making descendants do reparations for Jameson's death after the fact. And they've been killing off. They killed off an Alliance admiral. They killed off a senator in the Empire. I don't know if they've killed anyone in the Federation yet, but I'm sure they'll get around to it. Holy crap. My standing with Earth Defense Fleet is now rated at friendly. I don't think I was ever cordial with them. I just went straight to friendly. How odd. Unless I was cordial before. I'm sure that must be it. I'm going to just quickly see if I can get those 3 kills that I want to finish, to get access to this new engineer.
Okay.
So I'm going to engage in combat. I'm going to switch my ship over to the Anaconda right now. The shields are a little on the weak side for this thing. I've only got class 5A prismatic shields, but they do give me 700 plus shield points. I was hoping for something of upward of 1,000, but I'd have to go to class 6 and have lots more money than I do for that kind of behavior. But I will try to stay on the fringes and pick off the some people in this combat zone. And we'll just see how I do.
Caution, heavy traffic ahead.
Landing gear retracted.
You know what? I should equip my Python with prismatic shields as well. I'm gonna have to go fetch it out of the frickin' Pleiades.
Oh, why'd you leave it there?
Well, actually, I could technically just ship it back, but... Well, I left it there because I thought there might be stuff to do in the Pleiades in the days ahead, but it looks like the Thargoids are menacing the solar system at the moment. It's not clear yet if they're going to enter the solar system. If they do, we'll have to mount a defense of Earth.
I'll be back. Go find a restroom.
Okay.
Frameshift drive charging. 4, 3, 2, 1.
That was fast. Amazing what an extra limpet can do for you. Seeker missiles.
Cargo scoop retracted.
Oh, that's the airlock door. It's right there. What the hell is that thing? Like a weapons locker or some sort of storage unit? Okay, enough of this.
Frameshift drive charging. Ready to engage. 3,
I think we were just there.
Okay, you home?
Yeah, I'm still here. Only just, though. I'm thinking about going to the corner store for a soft drink.
Okay. I just walked out to my garage and grabbed one of them.
Well, yeah, I have a corner store. It's about as far away as your garage.
27 feet?
No, in terms of time. I crawl on my scooter, go to the store, and I'm back again in under 10 minutes. Not quite.
My garage, grab soda, be back within a minute.
Oh, really? Okay. I had this vision of like some big rack of soft drinks, food, and supplies from Walmart.
No, I just got 2 mini fridges out in my garage, my attached garage. One's full of Diet Coke and Diet Mountain Dew, the other one's full of water, and a couple beers and a couple wine coolers.
You know what? I'm not going to do this. I'm searching for conflict zones, and I know where there are some. They're just not in this star system. Chai, carry.
Eventually, I need to go do that.
What?
Conflict zone to get a bunch of bonds to open up that one region here.
Well, I only have 3 left. Like, surely I could find it. It's in my power to get 3 freaking bonds. Won't take that much.
Come in Cubale. There's all kinds of fucking war going on here.
And then you gotta pick a side. Staying neutral is good for business. When there's political parties, you donate to all of them. If I were in the States, I would, if I ran a business in the United States, I'd be donating to the Democrats and the Republicans.
I wouldn't donate to either.
Oh, shit.
If you go into a conflict zone, you have to pick a side in order to participate and get the combat bonds, I thought.
You don't have to pick a side. You could be against everyone, but it's a good idea to pick a side. You can, I mean, if you're just going in there to murder everyone, then it's only be about the 3rd or 4th time I'm taking my Anaconda into combat. But it's acquitted itself quite nicely. In the combat scenarios I've been presented with so far. However, a conflict zone's a little bit more serious.
Yeah.
I'm just going to quickly dock with the terminal here, get some resources that I can make some money off of. I believe it's resonating separators from Carry Terminal. And then I'll go to the next star system. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1500 and 1. Slow to subway. It's not that side. Yes, it is that side. I mean, fuck, is this ship ever big? I cannot imagine what it's like flying the Corvette. It's just, it must just be a huge ship. Oh, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. And I just launched chaff, because I like launching chaff for no reason. Have some chaff. FSP 3712, Carry Terminal, a Federation starport. I can't get any of these other commanders that I know to commit to our little planned wing squadron. They all like being independent. And they're worried that I'll try to align them with the Federation or something. I don't think that's very likely. I say I'm not going to, I probably won't. What have you got to lose? Okay, so from Carry Terminal to Inchai Orianus, we're taking resonating separators. It's in technology. Sell to market. Are you sure about this? Try Orianus. Resonating separators to Duamta. Okay. 200 cargo, 300 cargo.
Access corridor is designated no stop zone. Blockages will be removed using lethal force.
It doesn't fit.
You stop popping all the Viagra.
Yeah, well, I was trying to go through the, underneath some holograms in the base I'm at, and my ship is too big. It won't let me go through the little space where the holograms appear anymore. Ooh, the Anaconda can do something that the other ship can't. Actually,
Occupied space and time.
well, it's able to jump further. Its hyperdrive is more sophisticated. But you expect a warship's hyperdrive to be a little bit better than a freighter's.
I would hope so. It's kind of hard to wage a war if you can't get there in a hurry.
Constantly running after the battle. Wait! Wait!
I'm here! Oh, damn it! You guys jumped into another system. I'll be there soon. I'm getting asked for participation.
Actually, it's surprising in the history of warfare how often that people have been chasing battles that they can't seem to readily get into. In Battlestar Galactica, I don't know if you watched the initial episode of that series, but when the Cylons attack the colonies, one of the things you'll see right off the bat is the Galactica is trying to take shortcuts through Virgon's orbit to where the main battle is being hosted. And it can't seem to get to the battle in time, even though it probably has the winning strategy to actually survive the onslaught of the Cylons. Which, of course, is taking the... would have required a reset of the operating systems of each Battlestar back to their previous builds. The new build contained a Cylon virus that let them have access, so they were all malfunctioning. Of course, in the real world, today's military would be more than amply ready for such a development.
Hopefully.
Or at least they'd consider it. Okay, we have a high-intensity conflict zone. Like I said, we'll go in there and try to pick off the stragglers.
Super Cruise.
Docking computer now has control. We're docking at Polyakov Station, a Duamta system. Carrying a load on this military vessel, a cargo load of 300 metric tons of resonating separators.
Request dock.
Won't get $1 million out of it, but I'll make some money.
Landing gear deployed.
Yeah, I've got another ally. Ship 5623 Crimson United Services.
No, I'll be damned, I actually got close, very close to 1 million out of this cargo load. Well, that's good. That's really nice. Almost all the factions here, in fact, all the factions except the Bureau of Duamta and Defense Force of Duamta are aligned with the Federation. Okay. Okay, this time we're going to ixnay the cargo. We're going into combat, however, so I'm going to have a look at outfitting. See if there's absolutely any last-minute changes I can make that will help. Ooh, 2F multi-cannon. We should get a class 3. Multi-cannon. Fragment, mines. Multi-cannons only come up to class 2. Cannon. Holy shit. Well, yes, I can get a class 3 cannon. It will take all of my available money. That will take too much of my available money. I was deep inside my outfitting screen.
Sorry.
Perfect.
My computer froze up again. Our game did anyway.
Okay, I'm going deep inside the outfitting screen again. Are there any changes I can make?
There's lots of changes you can make.
Which will be helpful. I have the best possible frame shift drive for this craft. I can jump 39.51 light years unladen. My laden jump distance is 30 light years. Well, I don't need this extra cargo rack in Class 5. I can have... No, I can't really do very much. I can go to the livery and paint my new scarabs that I purchased.
Oh, eliminate enemies, imagine that. Target's name is Peachysaurus. I'm gonna get attacked by a Peachysaurus. Okay.
Some of the paint skins for various craft are on sale right now from Frontier.
Yeah. I bought a couple the other day. My entire fleet now has custom paint jobs. All except for SRVs, just because I don't use them that often. Even my fighters have custom paint jobs.
Yeah, I haven't, my credit card, I haven't used it that, oh my god. Even the special ones are on sale? Like the ones that pirates might use and whatnot?
Yeah, how many players play pirate nowadays?
Not lately. There hasn't been a lot of demand for it, but
You can't, not with their new crime and punishment.
well, you can. You just have to be able to live with the notoriety. And it leaves a certain level of inflexibility in the game.
Well, that's just it. You kill somebody, you're basically banished from entering any ports for hours on end. You get enough notoriety, you got fucking high-level NPC ship gunning for you.
Well, if you're a player killer, that's true, but not if you just go in and do hatch breakers and you know, attack ships, but don't destroy them. You won't get the same level of notoriety.
Well, what's the point
if any.
of attacking a ship if you're not gonna actually attack them and destroy them?
Well, you can use hatch breaker limpets to break open his hatch and take his cargo whether or not he's destroyed. In fact, you might get more cargo that way than by destroying him.
Well, you gotta disable them somehow. How do you disable them?
You obviously have to shoot his ship. But shooting in and of itself doesn't earn you notoriety. You have to kill someone.
No, but you get the bounties as soon as you shoot at them.
Yeah, but you can pay off the bounties. You can pay those off. Now, I don't know if it's worth it. It would likely depend on many different things. Okay. My paint jobs are applied. Except I don't have paint jobs for the Condor or the Anaconda yet. I'm going to have to purchase those next. Once I make a payment on my credit card, which can't happen any earlier than tomorrow. Stored modules, please. Take the fix. No.
Peachy Source is going to interdict me. Awesome. Battle stations.
Selling off all these extra cargo racks I've purchased and left in systems. Can you get a Class 7 passenger cabin? Is that possible?
Nope. Class 6 is as high as you go.
One second. Nope. And the 2E cannon. Retreat. None of these things are likely to be too helpful, so we'll back away from that. Crew lounge, make sure our agent is aboard.
Slavery offer. Ken, there's a lot of slavery offers here in
Nice and corrupt.
territory.
Oh shit, I forgot one thing.
Your shield.
No, fucking send my freighter here. Now I have to go outside the station. Do it again. They don't let you redock with the station when you forget shit.
Well, they're sending vultures after me to interdict me. Makes a lot of sense.
Access denied.
Oh, I got another one that's going to try and interdict me, huh? Awesome.
Access approved. Land on pad 02. Automated docking confirmed.
Battle stations.
Mm-hmm.
4,000 meters from touchdown.
Good, I got another attacker jumped into the battle.
HIP 5700. It seems like it's a popular system lately for some reason. You're not the only person I've observed being there.
It's right next door to Cubeo.
bringing up the Type 9.
Holy shit! The other one's a fertile lance. No wonder it seems to be doing so damn much damage.
Okay, ships are now en route. It will take a period of time to arrive. Freighter isn't too far away, 16 light years or something.
Docking maps retracted. Regulate speed to clear the exclusion zone.
Landing gear retracted.
Making planet contact. We're 25,000 kilometers
Credit bounty on that one.
away from conflict zone. Now closing. 22,000.
This is in case I need to get me a cluster limpets.
Sure, I mean, that's how you get those resources for engineers.
Yeah. Retreat.
Conflict zone. Now entering the conflict zone. I've chosen the Federation side. Oh, once you've chosen a side, that's it. You've chosen a side. It doesn't let you have a look at them again.
You have to leave the conflict area and come back in if you want to change sides.
Yeah. Dependence.
No, you're not going back to Cubeo. That I won't fucking do.
Deploying cannons. Stand by.
Slavery offer, no!
No, 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 no! Oh my god!
What'd you break?
Fucking chaff again. Come on.
Target shields offline.
Request dock.
This class for a pulse laser, it's like, good night, Sammy. I've received credit for an additional bounty. Okay, the battle has broken off into two groups. Incoming missile. Target destroyed. I'm being struck at.
Got 500,000 credits just in bounty vouchers.
Target obliterated. That's two. I've got a straggler. Straggler obliterated. That should be 3 bounties. The battle has broken up into different groups. That's the end of him.
Target destroyed.
Straggler. Off in the distance. I might have to run at this juncture. It's a frickin'... Yep, time to get the hell out of here.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
I'm back.
So my ship seems to have been taken down to 40% of its hull points.
The hell did we do?
And I didn't have a repair limpet. And I got attacked by, the last ship I attacked, instead of being one of the regular Cobra Mark III's, turned out to be one of the tougher Federation gunships. And it was able to hit me a lot harder than I was being hit previously, but I got my bounties, one way or the other. Those gunships have one strategy: close the distance to point-blank range and let you have it with their forward-facing weapons.
Federation ships tend to run and strafe. That's their battle plans. They're fucking annoying to fight. Because you gotta turn this big ass ship around and try to shoot back before they strafe it again.
But annoying as it may be, it's extremely effective as well at tearing down your shields and But I'll be repaired in a moment, and then I'm just docking at the station right now. My smoldering ship is like let's see what this costs. Oh, not too bad. It's only 100,000 to fix the ship. Let's see here. Combat bond contact. Okay, so that should be... So that was a high-density conflict zone I was in, by myself for the first time. And it was really no problem to run away when the time came to run away. I had enough armor to, like... I was still being shot at by the Federal gunship as I jumped out of the battle. Independence, jet power commodities. Okay. They're engaged in civil war, so that was what I was participating in.
Landing gear.
Engineers. It says, okay, that's weird. It says I still haven't hit the 50 limit on my combat bonds. Okay, I'm gonna go for that soft drink. I'll be back in about 10-15 minutes. Watch your wing prompt. When the time comes, I'll rejoin via the wing. Okay, we'll see you soon. Alright everyone, that's going to be this semi-session. 21:53:58 Zulu on 28 May 3304. I'm at Polyakov Station in the Duam-Ta system.
Incoming message.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. I now have access to Jury Ishmak. I was about to log off. I'll just say quickly that thank you for watching the video. Please watch look at the video's properties in the YouTube interface, and you'll have to click the More button where it indicates to just below the video in the standard YouTube interface to get access to the websites where we track ongoing events, news and views of Commander Trium. You can also get access to our Twitter feed there, where chronologically there is a feed of these videos ongoing as well on Commander Trium's Twitter account. 100,000 credits now worth of combat bonds, so that whole nonsense starts. He's an explosives expert and somewhat with scanners. More details we'd have to... He's in the Giriak system, 119 light years distant from where we are. Oh, it's right at the back. Okay, as I said before, we are going to suspend this video broadcast for a short while. Be back in about 15 or 20 minutes maybe, if things are slow, to continue. Thanks once again for watching. This has been Commander Trium.